What's up guys, I'm Rosti, former Rank 1 legend, HCT finalist, and top coach for Gamer Sensei. Welcome to the Road to Worlds video series, brought to you by Blizzard Entertainment and Gamer Sensei. We're going to follow the story of Hoej, and how his keen strategic insight brought home the Spring HCT trophy. Specifically, we're going to look at 3 critical games where Hoej showcases his incredible Hearthstone insight, setting him apart from other aspiring pros. Let's dive right into the defining plays that earned Hoej his spot in the Hearthstone World Championship. Hoej's climb to claim the title of Spring Champion is going to start in the Group B matches, as he pilots Pirate Warrior up against Chronicles' Secret Mage. Let's pick things up on turn 2 of game 2. So when I'm looking at the board here, the obvious play is just to play Dread Corsair and then pass. But Hoej decides to also play the patches here, and it sort of looks like he's just kind of wasting the patches to just get 1 extra point of damage. Because normally, you want to hold the patches in your hand until you can combo it with something like a Blood Cell Cultist, or at least keep patches in your hand until it can trade into a minion. And against Secret Mage, patches is even more valuable because it's a cheap counter to Mirror Entity. So why play it here? Because it's all about keeping the tempo. If Chronicles uses 2 of his 3 mana to just ping off the patches, then he's probably not doing anything else that turn, so Hoej's really happy with that. And since Secret Mage is so mana efficient in the early game, they don't really have time to fit in hero powers early. So if you play the patches now, it means that it's probably going to go unanswered for a bunch of turns. So it's actually representing a lot more than the 1 damage that it looks like. And that's exactly how it's going to work out. Chronicles only finds time to ping off the patches 2 turns later, and at that point, it's already made a significant impact. So that 1 turn led to such a huge tempo advantage for Hoej throughout the rest of the game. This is such a great series from Hoej and Chronicles, so let's keep following the plays. Now, we're going to be on turn 3 of game 4, with Hoej up 2-1, playing his Quest Rogue up against Chronicles' Murloc Paladin. And here's a very solid line of play here, where Hoej just tries to complete his quest with Flame Elementals as fast as he can. But instead, Hoej decides to play a bunch of other minions and spam his board as wide as possible. Why? First off, Flame Elementals are pretty cheap, so he can play them out for tempo as he needs to over the course of the game. But the problem is finding the time to do that. So, how does he buy himself some breathing room? Murloc Paladin has a lot of trouble dealing with wide boards, so by playing into that weakness, Hoej's going to force Chronicles to waste turns removing multiple minions, which is going to give Hoej the time he needs to complete his quest. Too many players here would just focus on completing the quest as fast as possible, but instead, by taking a more patient line, Hoej actually makes it more likely that he finishes the quest in a strong position. Hoej's doing such a great job of maximizing the value of every single card that he has. Now, let's look ahead to turn 4 of game 4, and Hoej's staring down a pretty strong board of Murlocs from Chronicles. So, a very typical line of play here is to trade 2 minions into the War Leader, then hit face with the remaining Firefly, and then just continue to develop onto the board. But after clearing the War Leader, Hoej preemptively trades his Firefly into the Hydrologist. Hoej, what are you doing? That doesn't kill it. But this play is actually just really next level. Hoej's playing around an on-curve Consecration, which is going to guarantee him a way to kill off the Hydrologist next turn. Because if Chronicles plays Consecration, Hoej can just attack his Igneous Elemental into the Hydrologist. This play is so good, because controlling the board against Murloc Paladin is crucial. And when you think about it, that face damage probably won't matter, because thanks to your quest, your deck mainly deals damage in increments of 5 anyway. Man, I still can't get over how sick that trade was. In Hearthstone, sometimes bad trades are actually extremely next level, and that play is going to lead to Hoej winning this unfavored matchup and clearing the group stage. Now, let's follow Hoej into the quarterfinals of the Spring Championship, where he is paired up against Citizen Nappa. Hoej's up 2-0 and only has Pirate Warrior left, and Citizen Nappa is going to be piloting the Token Shaman as we roll into turn 2. Taking a look at the board, Hoej doesn't actually have a solid way to remove the Firefly, so it makes sense to just pass here. But instead, Hoej's going to choose to use his incredibly valuable Heroic Strike, even though he knows Citizen Nappa has a Flame Elemental in hand too. Hoej makes this play because he understands how critical it is to control the board against Shaman, and he's already losing that battle. You can't just pass. And more importantly, Hoej's not just thinking about this turn, but he's already got his next turns laid out with the Frothing Berserker on 3 and the Kor'kron Elite on 4. While he'd love to save the Heroic Strike for a Flame Tongue or a Manatide Totem, he doesn't really have that luxury. And he knows that you can only win against Shaman with board control, so you gotta do what you gotta do, and he spends his resources accordingly. It's discipline like this which allows Hoej to carry the series against Citizen Napa and move on into the semi-final. Now, Hoej finds himself facing Ant in a commanding position. He's up 2-0. He's got Quest Rogue left up against Ant's Token Shaman as the match rolls into turn 4. A very obvious play here is to just slam a strong mid-game card, like Mimic Pod or Unbound Elemental. And with a preparation in hand, you could even play both. But what does Hoej do? He decides to just equip his dagger and play the Flame Elemental here. This play just showcases Hoej's amazing understanding of the matchup. Early board control is key against Shaman, so instead of developing stronger cards, Hoej makes sure to full clear the board as much as he can. Even after daggering, he could still play Preparation in the Mimic Pod, but why? A lot of players just get caught up in using the Mimic Pod Preparation Wombo combo as soon as they see both cards, but whatever he draws off the Mimic Pod, he either can't or probably won't want to play this turn, so there's no need to pull the trigger on that combo yet. And Hoej knows that he won't always have to use the preparation alongside the Mimic Pod. Sometimes he might complete his quest so fast that he can actually pair the preparation alongside the Crystal Core instead. Hoej uses his resources so well, and he knows how to fully maximize each card's value. Now, we find Hoej nearing the end of his journey, facing off against Kalento in the Spring Championship Finals, and Hoej is living the dream. He's up 2-0, and he's only got his Token Shaman left, and Kalento's going to be on his Token Shaman as well. Let's pick things up on turn 6. It's so tempting to clear the Doppelgangsters here, keeping Kalento off the board and further cementing a commanding lead on the board yourself. But instead, Hoej decides to pull the trigger on his Bloodlust and send every minion straight to Kalento's face. So he's already pretty far ahead. Is this an unnecessarily risky play? I think quite the opposite. I love the Bloodlust here, and here's why. Both Kalento and Hoej have so many cards, so it's kind of tough to predict exactly what Kalento can do, especially with all the variables you start to consider off of cards like Evolve and Devolve, unless you start restricting his options. So by playing the Bloodlust, you force Kalento to clear your entire board, and if he doesn't, then he's dead. And if he does manage to clear your entire board, then you have double Jade Lightning plus Jade Claws to close out the match anyway. The only heal in Kalento's deck is Thrall Deathseer. Is that an out? Nope. Because if he's playing Thrall, then he's not clearing your board, so you still win. This is such a good spot by Hoej. Don't do your opponent's job for them by trading. Go for the win. And that's exactly what happens. Kalento can't make the nearly impossible happen, and Hoej gets the victory, and with that, the title of Spring Champion. Hoej's deep understanding of Hearthstone's complex matchups ultimately allowed him to outplay his opponents throughout the entire Spring Championship. Hoej constantly saw innovative lines to generate additional value from his cards, and it's incredible game sense like that that earned Hoej his spot in the World Championships. Thanks for watching. If you want to get live coaching from a pro like me, then head over to gamersensei.com and take your play to the next level. What are you waiting for? Be a winner today.